Well, hello there, and welcome to this edition of Thought for the Week. What a joy to be with you. It's so exciting, isn't it, to have this opportunity to be together in the Lord's Word, even though we can't be together physically. I know it's not quite the same for you, that you can't meet in your churches and you can't meet each other for fellowship in the streets and in the restaurants, but nonetheless, this is a wonderful provision, and so we're glad to take full advantage of it. And I so appreciate the fact that Mulberry House have set this up. It's great. And I pray that you're being blessed by our little encounters together once a week. Today, we're going to start a new series, and yet in a way, it's connected with the previous series. We were talking about lockdown and the importance of being locked down with the Lord, taking full advantage of Him and His time out with us. But I want to link it now with moving forward in ministry, because we're going to get back together again very soon, and reaching out to the world is an incredibly important part of what we're meant to be doing as disciples of Jesus. But in order to strengthen us and prepare us and to give us the resources we need, we also need to be in close relationship with one another. And a word we often use with regard to our relationships together is the word fellowship. Now, fellowship is a word that is very wonderful, and I want to explain it to you in these coming weeks. But it's also a word which is misused, and that's not so clever. Because in churches, you'll find that the word fellowship is bandied around with great freedom, and it can mean a whole variety of things. For instance, if we meet somebody for a cup of coffee and a biscuit, another Christian, and simply have a happy time together, we can call that a good time of fellowship. When we go on holiday, we may go to a strange church that we've not visited before, and maybe after the service we are offered a cup of coffee and a chat, and we say when we come home, oh, we found this church and it was great. The fellowship was wonderful. But that's to do with heartiness, isn't it? Is that really what the Bible means by fellowship? Will that do as far as the Lord is concerned? Sometimes in our churches, in order to inject a bit of extra spirituality into our meetings, we pull the word fellowship into the title. We talk about the women's fellowship. We may even talk about the men's fellowship or the prayer fellowship, certainly the young people's fellowship. So then the word is simply a meeting of any kind. But I have to tell you that that's a very far cry from what the Bible describes as fellowship. And when we discover what it is, I think we should be excited, stimulated, and certainly challenged and provoked. And if you have a Bible handy, I'd like you to turn to Acts chapter 16. Here we are with the Apostle Paul on his second apostolic adventure. And we're told something extremely surprising. This is Acts 16 and verse 6. Paul and his companions traveled throughout the region of Phrygia and Galatia, having been kept by the Holy Spirit from preaching the word in the province of Asia. When they came to the border of Mysia, they tried to enter Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus would not allow them to. Now, I think that is an extraordinary little passage, because at one and the same time, it's incredibly discouraging, but at the same time, enormously encouraging. Do you see what's going on here? Paul and his companions had made plans for this apostolic journey, this apostolic adventure, and they included the province of Asia, where huge cities like Ephesus were located, and also a place called Bithynia, another Roman province. These were in Paul's firing line for the gospel. How wonderful then. Yes, but it wasn't the timing of the Holy Spirit. Paul would certainly get to preach the gospel in the province of Asia, in Ephesus. He would certainly get to preach in Bithynia. But the time was clearly wrong. So, what we see is the Holy Spirit frustrating their plans, and how frustrating that must have been. Knowing Paul as a prayerful brother, he must have spent ages praying through this itinerary, thought he'd got it right, but he hadn't. Sometimes we need that kind of encouragement, because our little plans sometimes are not as godly as we thought. And when the Lord disarranges them and leads us in a different direction, we need to say, Lord, thank you for this. You're in charge of my life. I accept what you're doing without complaint, and I look forward to the future. Well, the Christian life is certainly an adventure, isn't it? Well, the Lord bless you this week. I look forward to seeing you again next time. But for now, cheerio.